Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Today I have a good one. They haven't been on the air in over a month. I was honestly hoping that they got canceled because that's what the word was. Turns out that it's not true. But today we're going to talk about the cackling hens of The View. They are back, and they're back with a vengeance. And of course, they're blaming Republicans and Donald Trump for everything. But in this first clip, it's all about climate change and fires and hurricanes. And of course, Donald Trump is mainly to blame for all of it.
One of the many tragedies this summer due to climate change. This is another one of those. They better deal with this. This is the number one existential problem in this.
It rained 3 months worth over 24 hours.
But when I hear Republicans say, "Oh, it's not man-made. It's not about fossil fuels," you know, when Trump was president, all of that went up. The fossil fuel usage went up.
And the regulations went down.
Planet. Please don't vote for him. I'm begging you. Get him out of here. He's so dangerous.
But I'm glad you mentioned that because
he's so dangerous.
It's it's important to keep mentioning and try to see how we help the Maui fires. How Hurricane Idalia in Florida.
That was a horrible
fires in Greece.
It's like a nuclear bomb hit that poor place.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there were fires in Greece. There were fires in Italy.
Yeah.
Phoenix had 116-degree temperature. Palm Springs must have been over 100.
Yeah. Hurricane Idalia hitting the Big Bend in Florida.
The aquifers are drying up. If we don't have water, we can't exist.
Yeah.
They have to stop denying and stop with the
the
fossil fuels and whatever else is causing this. I'm begging you, don't vote for him. We'll be right back.
So you heard Big Red. It's the Republicans. They weren't against fossil fuels. When Trump was president, fossil fuel use went up, regulations went down, and our climate continued to get worse and worse and worse. Trump is the reason, along with the Republican Party, for the tragic fires in Maui. We all have our own thoughts, if you will, on how those fires started. I've talked about it before. I honestly don't believe it was a natural disaster, but that's just my opinion. I could never prove that, but I have the right to think it, right? Then they blame the Republicans and Trump for the hurricane that recently went through Florida and did some historic damage, historic flooding. The Republicans' fault again because they have a control, apparently, that they can control the atmosphere. They can turn on the rain and make it rain 3 months worth in one day, like Sonny Hostin said. They're the reason that the Burning Man Festival, I did a video on that a little while ago about the climate activists blocking the road and the police drove through the barricade. Well, the Burning Man Festival ended up getting rained out by torrential downpours. The whole thing was canceled. Over 70,000 people were stranded, but that's the Republican Party's fault too. And then you heard Whoopi say, not Whoopi, Big Red, I'm sorry, please don't vote for him. We have to get him out. Get him out? Out of where? Joe Biden is the leader. Joe Biden is the president. Donald Trump's not in office anymore. But they're continuing, almost 4 years after Biden was elected, to blame Donald Trump and the Republican Party for every single thing that happens. Because after all, Joe Biden has done nothing but good since he took the oath of office. He has single-handedly saved the United States of America from disaster, from destruction, from bankruptcy. We all know that is an absolute lie. But they love him. They think he's healthy. They think his head is clear. They believe that he is the true leader and he's the true savior of the United States of America. every chance they get, they will go after a Republican, especially Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was president for 4 years, I guarantee you the cackling hens on The View weren't spending nearly as much money as they're spending today. I guarantee you their bank accounts had more digits in them than they do today. Although that may not be necessarily true because they make an insane amount of money to talk about the Republican Party and push Democratic politics as much as they can. I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. I truly believe that the Democratic National Committee pays these hens to spew hate against the Republican Party. But they can say whatever they want. They can berate people. They can talk bad about people. They can label people racists and terrorists and bigots. But nothing happens to them. But if a Republican does that against a Democrat, all hell breaks loose. And you think the sky is going to fall. They absolutely lose their minds. They are one of the biggest reasons our country is failing because they continue to carry Joe Biden and all his failures and turn them into victories. When we all know Joe Biden has not had one single victory in the almost 4 years he's been in that White House. As a matter of fact, he spends more time away on vacation than he does in the White House. And that soon may change because we're now learning that Dr. Jill has tested positive for COVID. I know you're upset. And I know you know she's twice vaxxed, triple boosted, but she tested positive. So far, the president has not tested positive, and The View is concerned. They're very concerned because one of their own tested positive too.
As you can see, Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back. But she's on the mend. She's on the tail end, and she'll probably be back this week. But sorry she's not here. For those of you who are looking forward to seeing her.
I know. You had to step away and get a tissue. I know. Whoopi has COVID, and the audience goes, oh. And Big Red says, I'm sorry. I know you were looking forward to seeing her. Quite frankly, I don't think anyone has ever been looking forward to see Whoopi Goldberg. I certainly could live the rest of my life happy as shit if I never saw Whoopi Goldberg again. But Whoopi has COVID. Dr. Jill has COVID. Now think about that. Think about it. We are in the month of September. The presidential election is in 2024. All the politicians are out there on the campaign trail, well, except Joe Biden. He makes appearances here and there, mumbles a little bit, and then he goes away. But why, all of a sudden, summer's over, everybody got through, all of a sudden, cases are on the rise, hospitalizations are on the rise. I've read some data. On the rise, I don't think I'd really go that far, but yes, there have been more occurrences of people testing positive. But I also have a thought on that. School is back in. We see ads all over the television now for updated boosters. Some schools have actually brought back mask mandates. There's a college or two that have done it. I apologize, I can't think of the name, but they have mandated students to wear masks on the grounds and in class. Some school districts are saying that third graders and up should wear a mask in class, but it has to be an N95 mask. And we all know Tony Fauci, back when he was the star of every nightly news broadcast, first he said the mask worked, and then in other segments, the further it went, he said masks really aren't going to help unless you're in a big crowd and you're close to people. then you could wear one. But why is it that this virus, all of a sudden, after almost 4 years, is starting to make a comeback? And as the Democrats want to tell you, it's coming back with a vengeance. I don't know. I can only speculate, and I can only tell you my thought. And my thought is, we're rolling around to election season when people are going to go to voting booths and they're going to choose the next president of the United States. We know back in 2020, the majority of the votes were done by mail-in ballot or online ballot. And there was all kinds of problems with it. Some true, some false. I don't know. It is what it is. I'm way beyond that now. But why now? In late 2023, COVID wants to come back. The pharmaceutical companies want us to come out with their new boosters, the ones that are going to work. They're going to save you. They're going to help you. I don't know. It just seems very odd that we could go all this time. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but almost 4 years with minimal COVID talk, minimal hospitalization talk, but all of a sudden, Dr. Jill has it, poor Whoopi has it, Sleepy Joe has to wear a mask and social distance, and we're gearing up for another run at the White House. Conspiracy theorists may say it's a fraud, it's a trick. I don't know. I can only tell you what I see and what I read, and you know what you see and you read, and I'm sure you're hearing the same things I'm hearing. A lot of people I know are dead set against mask mandates any longer. A lot of people may refuse to wear masks because, after all, a mandate is not a law. So if you choose not to wear a mask, you're not breaking the law. But they'll tell you you're going to infect your neighbor. You're going to infect someone in your household. And for 4 years, we all wore the mask. We all got the jabs. People were still infected. It didn't do anything. So I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to wait and see where this goes. Going to see how Dr. Jill comes along, and I really hope Whoopi gets back on the set because she must be dying to talk about Trump and climate change and all the other nonsense they talk about. So let's just all send our thoughts and prayers to Dr. Jill and Whoopi. I'm going to pray for them tonight, just right before I go to sleep. Okay. And that's it. I mean, stuff's happening. Shit is happening. It's starting to get real again. And it just makes you think back to 2020 when everything was out of control. People were forced to stay inside. Kids were forced to stay inside. That's not healthy for anyone. And they never told people if you were a little overweight, maybe you should change your diet a little bit or exercise. Oh no, eat what you want, but make sure you get in line for the latest jab and you'll be okay. Quite frankly, the Department of Health, the CDC, the World Health Organization, whatever or whoever is involved, I rarely hear them say, change your diet, exercise, take supplements, take vitamins, eat healthier. You don't hear them say that. But you do hear them say quite often, and I'm sure we're going to hear it a lot more from now leading up to next year around election time, make sure you get that booster. Make sure you get that jab. They're up to date for the latest variant, and you'll be okay. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm really not a believer, but that's just my opinion, and I believe I'm entitled to it. So do as you will, live your life as you will, and if you choose to wear a mask, so be it. I'm not going to think any less of anyone who wears a mask because that's up to you. It's up to the individual. But cut it out with the mandates and the forced jabs and all this other crap, because people are tired of it. People are tired of our country going down the toilet from a so-called leader who either is on vacation or getting beat by a teleprompter and never really telling us anything other than he approved another few $billion aid package to Ukraine. That's all we hear about. And that's it for this episode. I wanted to bring you the cackling hens. I know you've been dying to see them. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. You won't miss an episode. Share this video with someone. I'd appreciate that. I hope everybody's healthy and safe. I'll see you soon with something else. Have a great night.